الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Jazakumullah khairan for joining us. Jummah Mubarak. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this a blessed day for all of us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us for all of our shortcomings. Alhamdulillah, so much of Ramadan has already passed, even though it's still only a few days and we still got majority of it to go. We want to make sure that everything's still going the way we planned. And we always have to double check and make sure that everything is. Otherwise, we can easily lose sight of what our original goal was. Now, when it comes to our original goal in the beginning, we asked and we made our goal that we want to make this a month of change. Yes, we don't have our masajid, but we don't need the masajid. We still have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and even our houses can be transformed into the masajids as well. So it's really a chance for us to just go back and revisit and see if that change is taking place. Now, before we even start making a change, we have to understand what our goal is. It can't just be a small little thing where we have an end goal and then we have mini goals to get to that end goal, and we have to be able to differentiate between the two, because we don't want to get stuck with just doing a mini goal and just being satisfied with that and say, you know what, I did what I needed to. Ultimately, the end goal is, what is that? And what our end goal should be as Muslims is perfection in every aspect of our life, in our character, in our deeds, in our words, in our worship. Every single thing that we have to do in this life, our time spent in this life, should be done with perfection. This is the goal. Is that goal going to be reached? Are we going to reach that goal? We don't know. But in reality, because we're humans, we always will continuously make mistakes, we'll fall short at times, but this does not mean that we should change our goal or lower the standard and say, you know what, that's not achievable, so let's do something else. Because as long as we have perfection as our goal, there's no stopping to make the effort. There's no stopping to get better. There's no stopping to perfect our recitation of the Quran, our prayer of Salah. Every single thing that we have when it comes to that its perfection is always included in it. And in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he gives that. He says that whoever makes wudu and does it perfectly. In other words, and ahsan al-wudu, he does this perfect wudu. He is so meticulous about every single part of it to make sure that nothing is left out. This person that makes that wudu, their sins are going to be forgiven. Why? He has this goal of perfection. And we haven't even got to the salah. We haven't even got to we're talking about the preparation for the salah. That should be perfected. You know, it's like we're going to a job interview. We haven't even got to the interview, but there's a lot of thought and effort put in to look perfect, to make sure we sound perfect, that we rehearse some of the questions that may be asked in our minds, that those can be perfect, even though it's not the interview time. And the wudu should be dealt with the same way, that although the salah is the main thing, it's dependent on the wudu. And if we're spending time and giving value to that wudu to do it perfectly, imagine how much thought and effort we'll put into the salah to make sure that it's also done as perfect. I mean, that person would have to be crazy to spend so much time to go to an interview and really do it in a perfect manner, but then as soon as they get to the interview, they just act wild or don't do anything that they planned. They would be even more thoughtful during the interview to make sure that everything is said and everything is done the way they had planned it. And that's when we do that wudu and then we go to that salah. Now we're like, okay, I put that time, I put that thought into that wudu. I made sure everything was perfect. Now here's the real deal. I'm talking to my Lord. Let me make sure this is perfect. So this is just one aspect of our life. It doesn't matter if it's just the salah, the recitation of Quran, our character, our schoolwork, our work itself. We're trying to do everything with perfection. That's our goal. And as long as we have that main goal there, then we can always make mini goals to make sure that we achieve that. So we're not going to be able to be perfect in every single thing right away. But as we have that main goal, okay, I'm praying salah. Remember, your goal is perfection. What do I need to do? Okay, I'm doing my homework. School's about to start. I got work to do. I got an exam. Remember, your intention was perfection. What do I need to do? And you keep that goal of perfection in front of you, that every single thing you do, you improve it just a little more, that you can get a little bit more closer to that perfection. And again, we may never reach it, but we'll go much higher than if we lower the standards and reach a level. So perfection means that we may not reach it, because obviously we're human beings, but as we keep that as our goal, we'll get closer and closer to it. Means we'll go further and further from our bad habits and our bad deeds and our mishaps within the deen and within the a'mal and the deeds. So this has to be done in a certain way. So when we say that we're gonna have those mini goals, or the method of doing it also, we can't just say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna be perfect. Okay, I'm gonna try to be perfect in everything. Let's go, and that's it. We have to understand that there's steps involved to make sure that we achieve that goal. Now, the first step in anything to understand is to understand that we have flaws within us. We have flaws in our characteristics. We have flaws in our deeds. We have flaws in everything, every part of our life that we're trying to perfect. If we feel that we have no flaws, why would anybody put forth any effort to improve? If they think they're perfect at, if they think they're the best basketball player, they just sit back off practice, don't need to do anything because they feel they're the best. But when somebody doesn't think they're good, they're like, I need to put time. I need to get better. I need to get better. And I need to get better. And they'll keep doing that, trying to improve every single time. And the same way when it comes to ourselves, our individual selves, and our spiritual selves, we have to understand that there's still a lot of effort done. This realization needs to come first before anything. It's one of the first steps that if somebody has a bad habit, like they're an addict, the first step that they put them to try to get them to understand is that the realization that they are addicted and they need help. They need a change. Without that realization, they will not make any effort to change, and we will not make any effort to change. We'll say everything's fine. So it's a way to understand that, okay, there's contentment and there's contentment and there's persistence. So when it comes to contentment, we're content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. We're content with the situation that we're surrounded by. But we're not content with the level that I'm at. We're not content with the level of prayer that I pray, with the level of recitation of the Quran that I do. We're not content with that. We will always try to improve it and make it better and better. We will keep being persistent in those things. So not to get the thing mixed up that say like, oh, you know what, I pray 5 times a day, that's good enough, I'm done. Even that 5 times a day that we pray, it's perfectly fine if that's all you pray. But even that, say, okay, I prayed the Fajr, but was it a perfect Fajr? And it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing, but you slowly make effort to try to achieve it. And even Sahaba, when the Prophet ﷺ put him to a test and said, who will pray 2 rakat salah and give it its right, and I'll give him my shawl. And while a Sahaba prayed, the Prophet ﷺ afterwards said, did you fulfill its right? He said, I did until the end. I thought in my salah, what color was this shawl? So these thoughts are always coming there, but it doesn't mean that we cannot perfect whatever we do. Every time the thought comes, push it out. The thought comes, push it out. This is the first step to having that perfect salah. So being persistent with that also. You don't do it in Fajr and neglect it in Dhuhr. You, regardless of the situation, now you have Fajr that's reciting out loud. Maybe it's a little bit easier to concentrate on the Quran. Then you have you have the Dhuhr Salat, which is quiet. Now you're reading quietly and you can't read it out loud, and you're thinking, it's hard for me to concentrate, and you just let it go. No, that's telling you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, this situation where you're able to recite the Quran out loud, this situation where you have to read the Quran quietly, your goals shouldn't change. It's still perfection. And the thing about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He is perfect in every way. So the closer we get to Him, the more of that perfection that we absorb. Even though we have characteristics within ourselves that make us flawed. But still we'll get better and better at everything that we do. So it's like with the first realization and understanding that it needs change. This is what we need. When a person, for example, has a certain diet and they're eating that diet until they go visit a doctor, and the doctor says, listen, this diet is detrimental for you. You have this sickness. If you keep eating it, it could be fatal for you, or you could develop a chronic disease. This person now will get the realization that, oh, I need to change. Had he not visited the doctor, or if he decides not to listen to the doctor, his life will remain the same, ultimately leading to his own doom. So but the realization, when it's there, they're like, oh man, I didn't know. Now you see this person's diet will change. So the same way, we have to have and bring that change in ourselves, because we have like scholars to go to, we have imams to go to, we have different lectures and books that we can read to, but ultimately you as an individual self, me as myself, we have to come up with that realization for ourselves. That I have to observe myself. Now where I may be flawed, someone else may not be. Their flaw may be somewhere else. That's why every single person has to sit back and bring that realization to themselves. What do I need to be better at? Where am I flawed? And the Prophet ﷺ, he would spend so many years in the cave of Hira, just meditating, bringing this realization. Why is society the way it is? What's going on here? Where is the flaw? How can this change come about? And he just kept thinking, trying to understand and meditate over this. And we should be doing the same thing. The first person that we have to save is ourselves. Ya alladhina amanu qu anfusakum. Before anything else, bring that realization that what do I need to change to be better in every way. As a person, as a servant of Allah, as a student, as a co-worker, how can I be better? And where am I doing wrong? And sometimes you don't need to go to an imam in this. Maybe the ones you need to ask are the close ones. Be like, hey, what are some of the flaws that I have? The family, even if it's kids, if you're an adult, you'll be surprised how truthful they may be. And that realization can really kick in at that moment. So whatever works for that individual, understand that this has to be done, and that change will not come unless we have the realization that there needs to be change. Once we have that, then you'll see that a whole bunch of doors will come through the change. Like the Prophet ﷺ, he was looking for that change in his society. He was looking for that change to help his people. What happened? The door opened to him where Jibreel ﷺ came and gave him the Quran. And look at how much change that brought. Now obviously we're speaking of the Prophet ﷺ here, but you see how much change that brought, where he himself wasn't a single individual. And now there's about 1.5 billion Muslims that believe in him currently alive. And before that, it was so many more that are still there. All this change that went spread out to so many different countries, the correction of societies, the correction of oneself, all of it came because this one person wanted to bring that change, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened the door for him. Now again, like I said, we're not the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we can at least definitely meditate and think and try to bring that change within ourselves. And by doing that, you'll actually become a means to help bring change in others, starting with your family, neighbors, community, all around. And change doesn't just necessarily mean that you're telling everyone about Islam and letting them come. They will ask about that. There's no need for you to force that on people. Change the way, like you will now have to meditate and I will have to meditate and try to bring this change within myself. Let people do that on their own as well too. You can't force feed someone to them. It's like, an adult going to a doctor and saying, you need this medicine. It's bitter. You need to eat it. If you don't eat it, it's detrimental for you. And the guy's like, you know what? I'll bear the bitterness. I'll bear the little hardship that comes with it. I'm going to eat this medicine. Give that same medicine to a kid. Now in the 90s, before there was bubblegum flavor and all these other flavors of medicine, you can just imagine a kid trying to eat a spoon of medicine and even spitting it out. Why? They don't have the realization that they need to have that medicine for that change to occur. So the same way, whether it's spiritual talk, whether it's talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran, getting people to pray salah, even if it's one's kids, you have to understand that that change needs to come and the realization has to come first. Now, while the realization is done, when it's there, that okay, I need to bring change. Now you need to correct your intention. Why do you want to change? Who are you doing it for? If we start corrupting our intentions, and one makes it for intention for his spouse, one makes an intention for their kids, I need to become a better person because my kids, I need to do this, I need to do that. But what happened when we don't get the reaction that we expected? When we're doing it for those people, we can easily let go of that change and say, you know what, what's the point? If they're not even going to be appreciative to it, what's the point? But when we make it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it doesn't matter again with the reactions that we get from around us. We get that change and we do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the whole world joins us, we continue to change for ourselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If nobody joins us, we continue to do that change. Now you look at the prophets alayhim wasalam, there were some prophets that they didn't have a single follower from the time they were made a prophet until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took them back. But they're saved. They brought that change. And they were changed to that point where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected them from sin, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted every single one of their deeds. Now if we don't change ourselves, then it doesn't matter if the whole world changes. There's even certain people, there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says knowledge that comes down from the sky, it comes in different lands. There's one type of land that takes the water and then brings out vegetation, where people, the land itself takes benefit, and not only that, but other people will come and take from the trees, or animals will eat from the grass. Everybody else will take benefit as well. Then there's another type of land where the water will fall down and it's too hard to get absorbed. So instead of absorbing the water, it holds the water up. And that turns into a body of water where people can come drink water and animals can come drink water. And then there's another type of land that it has cracks, like sort of those deserts that you see that the floor is cracked. The water will just go down, it will not absorb it, and it will not keep it up for anyone. And he says this is the example of knowledge, that some people, they will have knowledge, they will act on it themselves, and they will teach others, and they will also benefit from it as well. So everyone benefits from it. There's another type of knowledge where people will not act on it themselves. They have it. They'll teach it to others. And people will take benefit from it, but they themselves will never benefit because the knowledge never penetrated through them, just like that ground that was too hard. And obviously the third one where it doesn't benefit them and nobody takes benefit from them. So if we force or make everyone change around us without going back into our own hearts and understanding that we're doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I need to get change, then yes, people will take benefit, but we won't. But if we change ourselves, automatically just by walking amongst people, as long as we're not living on a mountain somewhere by ourselves as a monk, we will bring change. We will be a means of bringing change in other people's lives. Then with intention comes effort as well. Because when we make that intention, we don't just say, okay, you know what, I'm going to do something. Like, for example, I'm going to wake up for Fajr tomorrow, and I'm really going to try to make sure this is the best Fajr of my life. Now you're going to have to actually take forth the effort to wake up for Fajr. And actually try to bring that change in that salat. Not, oh, you know what, I'll do it next time and just quickly pray that Fajr, and then, okay, tomorrow I'll start. Or Dhuhr I'll really start. It's right at that moment. As soon as we make the intention, we follow through. And the actions come through behind that. The effort. Now, the last thing that we have to take into consideration is reality itself. Reality can break so many of our paths, can break, destroy our intentions, our persistence. Why? Because we sort of just assume everything is just going to go our way. And when we assume that everything goes our way and then an obstacle comes, we're just like, man, I tried. It didn't work out. And we should not be like that. We should understand that there is reality and it exists, and I have to work through that reality to bring that change into my life. There's an obstacle, I can go around it. I can find ways to go around it to try to make sure that I stay persistent in the change that I want. So, For example, when we're talking about reality, we're talking about what maybe can cause something or a reason for the lack of change. Like we all want to change. Who doesn't want to be a better person? But certain things stop us. Why? For example, somebody wants to work out and get healthy. They do it for a good week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. Then all of a sudden they stop. What caused that? What was that blockade right there? So when we understand and try to look at our life and be like, okay, try to understand the realities that I have to work with before not before, but while I'm trying to bring this change into my life. What influences are there in society that can take me away from my goal? What different laws or public relations or social gatherings are any of these affecting me bringing this change? For example, if like we're talking about trying to get healthy and trying to work out, then all of a sudden I have this friends that I hang out with that we always eat unhealthy, we eat cake, we eat ice cream, we do all those things, and we meet up every single time, and that's the way that we're doing it. And I'm thinking on here, I'm trying to work out, but then this is affecting me psychologically. I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting any results because of this. Why try? I'm just gonna give this up. But if you understand that, okay, that's a reality I have to work around, you can bring that change and work around it as well. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, he was a prophet. He had wahi. He had revelation. He had protection. He had Jibreel alayhi salam wherever he goes. If anybody tried to do anything, Jibreel alayhi salam could defend him. But he worked with society and he worked with all these different blockades that existed. He didn't go up to a person that was a leader and say, hey, get out of here, you're a leader. It doesn't matter, you're the same as that other individual. He said, this is a leader. If I can influence and convince him, this person will go and influence a lot of people. So he would go and talk to those leaders and try to get them to understand and accept him as a prophet and to give him protection. He would come different ways, like for example in the time of Hajj, he would say, okay, this is a very good opportunity. I have to make sure that I go and talk to all the different groups that come from different places. Maybe some group will accept me. He had Abu Bakr who go with him, trying to get him to know who the leaders are, who's influential, to talk to them and try to get them to work with him. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, not only that, but even within the spiritual realm, like for example, the Muslims that were already there in that time, he had the protection of the Malaika. Even we know that when the Prophet ﷺ says that when we sit there in the gathering, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, angels come and circle around us. And they will keep going until they stack up on top of each other to the sky. And we'll be forgiven after that. Now, knowing that, the Prophet ﷺ could have told the believers, okay guys, we're going to go in front of the Kaaba. Who cares who's there? We're protected by angels. We're going to do a halaqah over there. And we're going to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he worked with society, and he made Darul Arqam, which is a certain area that he said, okay, we're going to meet here, we'll do learn, and I'll teach you guys the Quran in this place at this time. And Sahaba would go around, they would try to make sure that there's no kind of no one following them or no one getting suspicious that something is going on. They're working with the blockades that are around them. They're not just going one way, be like, okay, I'm going to do it, that's it, I'm on the truth, everything should go my way. So now when we are doing the same thing, we should also understand that there's blockades around us. We can't say, you know what, I'm going to pray Fajr tomorrow. I'm going to start and I'm going to make this my best Fajr. And then sleep at 3, 4 o'clock and expect to wake up for Fajr. Or even 2, 1 o'clock. Depends what our bodies can handle. But when we say, okay, this is a blockade, I have this, I have to stop this in order to bring this other aspect, to correct this other aspect in my life. We can't say I want to become Hafiz of Quran and we're trying to go slowly and we're not even picking the time or being persistent to recite it every day. So every aspect of our life, getting angry, we can't say, oh, I'm getting angry and I need to stop it, but I'm not trying to look and see, well, when I get angry, what's going on? What did I do? What happened when I get angry? Let me work on that first, and then that will help me ease my anger. So this is just a quick 3-step little process that we can use to go over and bring that change that we want from in our lives in this month of Ramadan. The first one, obviously, we talked about to bring that realization first that I need to bring change, and where do I need to bring change. Then actually bring forth that intention and action that follows through to actually put forth the effort to bring the change. And then finally understand the obstacles and everything that we have to deal with in our life, and they will differ from person to person because everyone has a different life, a different social gathering, and working around and with those social blockades or whatever it may be, the realities of life itself, to make sure that we stay persistent in that change. So until then, inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for all of us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring that change in all of us and make it a source of guidance for all of us as well. There was also a sister, her name is Baydan. She used to be from the community of MCC. She was diagnosed with cancer, but I believe she was dealt. I think she got the cure from that, alhamdulillah. But as she's East Coast, I think she just got infected with the coronavirus. One of the sisters, the board member, Sister Aisha, asked if we can make dua for her. We'll make quick dua for her, inshallah. And everybody, if you can remember her in your duas tonight as well as you pray the Taraweeh or read the Sayt al-Quran. اللهم إنا نسألك بأن لك الحمد لا إله إلا أنت بديع السماوات والأرض يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اشف مرضانا واشف مرضى المؤمنين. اللهم اشف مرضانا واشف مرضى المسلمين. اللهم اشف أختنا بيدان يا رحمن يا رحيم. اللهم رب الناس أذهب البأس أنت الشافي لا شفاء إلا شفاؤك شفاء لا يغادر سقما. Ya Allah, we ask that you give cure to us, our sister Baydan. We ask that you forgive her for all of our shortcomings. We ask that you shower her with your mercy, Ya Allah. Please give her a complete shifa, the shifa that only you can give. Cure her from this ailment and use this ailment as a purifier for all of her shortcomings, and please use it as a means of guidance for her, and please guide all of us and shower us all with your mercy. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin wa jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.